Um, okay, so um, for this first dev talk of Django, I decided to bring a really interesting topic, which is HTMX in Django and how we can use that combo to escape the JavaScript ecosystem. If you like the JavaScript ecosystem, you are probably on the wrong talk because there's a React talk going right now. So if you like the JavaScript ecosystem, this is not the talk for you. So first of all, I think we need to understand how Django works. I believe everybody here knows a little bit, at least. Like you basically call a URL and then that URL knows which view to call based on the URL you type, and then you render a template. The template layer is the most important layer for this class because the template layer you can do a bunch of things that you would usually need an API call for. Like I could check if the user is authenticated directly on my template. But if you used an API call, you would need to have a React frontend, for example, and then check if you are authenticated on the backend. And also on the template layer, you have Django Forms, which is a big part of Django, and it really makes your life easier to build forms. And also you can do a bunch of things on the template layer that if you lose this layer, you're losing like 1/3 of Django. So you're not using Django's full capabilities and agility to build projects really fast, because that's what Django is for. But the problem is that if we just use the template layer, we don't have interactivity, right? Our pages are just static. So that's why we need JavaScript. Like, even though we hate it, probably, it's necessary because it makes the web pages alive. But the problem is that nowadays we have a really big chaos of frameworks, as you can see right here. Like on 2009, we just had JavaScript, and now 2023, we have more than 100 JavaScript front-end frameworks. And I mean, JavaScript itself, it's a good solution. It's a programming language that can run on the browser, building on every browser. But the problem is how the current ecosystem is. Like, you have to learn a bunch of things just to get your project running, which I don't think makes a lot of sense. And also here we have this fun meme that I found. The dinosaurs basically questioning like, why do we need Node for on the front end? Because Node is actually a backend programming language. Actually, the story is like this. They created JavaScript to run on the browser, right? And then somebody loved JavaScript so much that he wanted to run it on the server. Then somebody created Node. But now we need Node to run NPM, to run React, to run a front end. So it's a really big anti-pattern, it's just so weird. And I even know there are people trying to run Node on the browser. I know there are people trying to do that nowadays. I don't know why, but if you search, you will find it. There are people trying to run Node on the browser, and it doesn't make any sense. So that's exactly when HTMX comes in. You can make your web pages alive with minimal JS or sometimes no JS at all. Basically, this is a screenshot from their main page, their website, and you can basically do all of the things that you would need for a normal project, like a normal web project. You can do Ajax calls, WebSockets. You can kind of open a modal with HTMX. You can open a drop down, close the drop down. open a mobile menu, all those common patterns that we have every day as a web developer, you can use HTMX to make those patterns. And the main use case for HTMX is together with those big frameworks like Django. So you don't lose the template layer here. You have the template layer, you have 100% of Django, and you still have interactivity, and you still have like HTMX. It basically gives your HTML superpowers. So it's really, really interesting. Of course, there are some use cases that React's better. For example, you have a team of 20 developers. They all know React. Of course, you're going with React because your whole team knows React, right? So you're not going to, just say they're going to use HTMX because that would be dumb. And sorry, did you raise your hand?
Yeah. So actually, you can run the now way all the front ends also just on the Django ecosystem, right? You wouldn't need a framework to it, right?
Yes, exactly. You would just plug in a script tag and then it would have your HTML would have superpowers.
I see. Just a question: do people actually use this a lot? Because like I'm coming from Rails, Ray has a view site that can replace the front end, and people Rails developers are also like, oh, let's do everything in views. But in the sense, the market no, they do really use frameworks, React, Angular, Vue, and
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah.
So, do you really see a lot of HTMX going around? Yeah,
Yeah, so that's a really good question. Like the market itself, like the creator of HTMX also mentions that like the whole market uses React and those big frameworks. If you are looking for a new job, you probably should not learn HTMX because really few people are starting like business
yeah,
projects with it because the whole industry is already on this big chaos that I showed here. But I know there are some people that are trying to use it, and there are people that have been successfully using it to rebuild their front end and make it the code base smaller and also the bundle size smaller. As you
yeah,
can see, the bundle size here is 14 kbytes, and the code base sizes are reduced by 67%
yeah,
when compared with React. So it's a trade-off. If you need a lot of responsiveness, like a map, or you need a lot of crazy
yeah,
interactions on the page, you probably need React, right? But if you are building a normal project, everyday project, let's say, I think people should start considering HTMX at least. Give it a
yeah.
try, on
It
your
has a
personal project.
definitely a clash in the market of views. Some people goes against the framework. You can see this on the Hasselhoff, the creator of Ruby, the
Mm-hmm.
Ruby song, and people like, no, let's make tools easier to deploy quicker. Do not have to use all those fancy boilerplates that's taking that much space. It definitely is a battleground there, and in a few years we're gonna see where's the marketing's going to, like with, but I if what I'm seeing looks like it's just like Sirius mentioned also, I think you could develop and deploy much quicker, and you have a probably less code depth to maintain everything. So that's definitely a plus.
Yeah, exactly. It's exactly what Surya mentioned. It's kind of like Hotwire um, for Django, but it's not exclusive to Django. It's a new. It's any HTML, and it's exactly also what you mentioned. Like, let's say I want a really quick MVP. I want to build a quick MVP. Django and also Rails, they are perfect for that. They are made for that. And then if you lose their template layer, which is really powerful, you are basically losing a lot of the framework power. So And that's why I really like HTMX. And now we pretty much discussed all the use cases already, but it's those three: simplicity, ease of integration, and leveraging HTML attributes. Um, what else? Let's see. Yeah, and here we have this link, which is the last slide of the talk, which basically just shows some examples of what you can do with HTMX. I suggest everybody to access it later when you have some time, and also access their docs. You can see that's pretty easy to get started. I'd say you can get productive with HTMX within like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. You can probably get really productive with it in that short span of time. And as you can see, we have like infinite scroll. We probably all build that in React. Delete row, file upload. It's built for all those common patterns that we have every day on the web. And yeah, I believe that's it. If you have any questions, please raise your hand, or if you want to comment something,